Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Chasing Prophecy on the Oracle Talk Radio Network in Pittsburgh. We are ready to have a great show tonight, and we're going to explore the mysteries of our world beyond. And I'm your host, Jenny Nicasio, and tonight we have back in the studio, we have John Ventre back, which I'm so glad he's back because we've had a number of mishaps shows in the last couple weeks, but I'm glad you're back, John.
Yeah, and keep in mind, read my T-shirt. Pop knows. My grandkids gave me that. Pop knows.
That's
everything.
So nice.
It actually says
yeah, he does.
Below it. Pop knows.
How many grandkids do you have?
5. I got 5, and I'm in Missouri of all places now.
On Missouri. Hey, Pittsburgh Paranormal. Hi, Holly.
Yeah, they're all in Missouri.
Do you think you're going to move out there?
They want me to, but my ex-wife moved there, so now there's no incentive to go. There's less incentive to move.
Oh, jeez. Well, you know what? I get along with my ex-husband. He's here almost every weekend, and it's, you get used to him. I mean, he's whatever happened is in the past, and whatever. Get over it.
She wants to get back together again, but I can't do that again. So,
well, you never know. Might work
it's
out.
Not all. It's not
the second time. They say the second time around is all. Hi, Terry.
Yeah. Maybe we're a different woman.
I don't know there, John.
Right.
But we're going to have a cool show tonight. There's a lot of stuff in the news and the paranormal news, and there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on. Between the rapture, they said, for September 23rd. I don't know. I'm still here, and you're still here, and we're both Christians, so I don't think it happened. Wow, you never know. Maybe we were in some kind of altered dimension and it did happen and we're just stuck in this limbo thing.
And maybe we're not actually here. Maybe, like you said, we've moved into a different dimension.
Maybe there was a fantastic, I don't know if anybody in Pittsburgh saw it, the fantastic double rainbow here. And if you did see it, let me know. I took some really nice pictures. I was like, woohoo! And my kids were at the Giant Eagle and they saw it and something told them, because, at the end of the rainbow, what is it? A pot of gold, right? So, hi, Kurt. How are you? They won money on the instant scratch off tickets. So that was their pot.
You see my light in my office flickering? Whenever I do these podcasts, it goes crazy.
Well, you know what? Exactly. And I was talking to a lot of people, a lot of Christians out there who do podcasts. And I don't know, maybe it's everybody who does paranormal podcasts. Sometimes the devil is not letting us do anything.
Oh, no
lights
doubt.
Don't work. The lights don't work. And I don't know what's going on with that, because my office here, and I've talked about it a number of times with Sean, that I think that there's maybe I wouldn't say demonic presence, but a ghost or something that fools around with my equipment, and that went on for a good many years. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah. Well, last year the Philly conference, it was like a couple hours before the start, all the power went out in the Sheraton.
Yeah,
it came back on like 10 minutes before we were going to start the conference. All the power came back on. So now I'm checking the weather. There's another storm coming up the coast in about 10 days.
Yeah.
And the conference is next Saturday in Bucks County. So, I don't know. I was supposed to speak at the Edgar Cayce Institute.
Oh, I love Edgar. I belong to that, the Association for Enrichment and Enlightenment. Yeah.
In April, they scheduled me. And then in just a month ago, they canceled me,
Oh, that sucks.
Well, they don't like my far right politics. Somebody complained. So I said, well, that's fine. That's life. But, life. I think in Trump's America, cancel culture is pretty much dead. So what I did was I scheduled the Philly conference on the same day as their event on October 4th. So, I'll pull some people away. They'll come to my event instead.
Oh. When is the Pittsburgh? You should have it at my brother's place. It is so nice. You could have it there, but they don't have like a cafeteria.
I get a good deal at the WCCC, but Philly is October 4th, And it's probably going to be the last event we do in the Bucks County because, for me, it's a 500-mile round trip and, paying tolls. And those tolls are as much as the gas with my SUV. So it's really not worth it for me to go out there. But I'm going to continue doing Pittsburgh. And I do both of them now under my LLC, the String Theory of the Unexplained. PA MUFON pulled out of the events. And we'll run our own. Yeah, well, here we are. It's almost October. You haven't scheduled anything because you can't.
Oh,
I think I'm seriously one of the best events.
Because you have Fred working it. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, but I think I've run 45 conferences, 2 MUFON symposiums. I know what I'm doing, and they don't. So I run this for myself. But April 11th is going to be the one over here at Westmoreland Community College, Youngwood. So that'll be good. I got Sam Maranto coming in for that one, talking about the O'Hare Airport. And
why don't you try to get David Politis on?
He kind of sent a feeler out last year, but last time I talked to him, he wanted like $1,500 to speak.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, because he made that movie and now he became big.
No, he's a big shot.
I'll give him another year. I'll give him another year or so. I'll get him for $500.
Well, getting back to tonight's show, I hope there's more people and I hope some more people come on in. We're broadcasting on Pittsburgh Paranormal and Chasing Prophecy YouTube page, and I believe Pittsburgh Paranormal. So tonight we're going to talk about some crazy stuff. Okay. The hollow earth theory. Now, there is supposed to be, guys in the chat, there's supposed to be an entire world beneath our feet. And that is crazy. Ancient legends have talked about this for a long time. Cultures all around the world speak of this inner civilization. And a lot of people think that it all started with Atlantis. And they're supposed to have all kind of secret entrances and at the poles. And it even goes back to Hitler. And what was his name? Colonel Berg. Is that his name? I can't remember his name.
Admiral Berg.
Admiral Berg. So some people think this is a myth, and some people think it's science fiction, and others think it's more. So we're going to watch a couple of videos before we get started. But I'm not only on this, do you believe in it, John? Do you think there is an underground?
It's funny. I did a podcast on it on my channel, String Theory of the Unexplained, probably 7 years ago, somewhere around there. And I didn't, I've never paid a lot of attention to it. But, I went from the UFO genre, and then I spent 3 solid years investigating demonology and really became an expert on that. And now this past couple of months now, I said, let me look at this hollow earth. And there is so much material. It's incredible. And what the thing that's funny about it, and it's not funny, is that, I've read all these different cultures, all their beliefs, and there's a couple of things that are, show up every time. It's the abduction of humans, mostly women, the hybridization of these kids, and using the genetic material from humans, mostly women. So I said to myself, how can this be on every continent that's what is the one main thing that comes out of the hollow earth, no matter if you're talking about in Europe, with elves and fairies and gnomes and all of that, or you're talking about under Tibet with Agartha, it's the same MO. And what happens with UFO abductions? The same thing. So I said, you know what? I've been saying for a long time, I don't think the UFO is from space. I think it's from here, but I've said it's interdimensional from here. But now you got this hollow earth thing, and I wasn't all that versed in it until recently. It's the same thing. And then when you talk, you go back to the Bible and stuff. Well, who was the first ones to be abducting women and doing this hybridization thing and with mating with them? It's the Nephilim, right? The Watchers, the fallen angels. So this has been going on this planet for 5,000 years. And, John Keel said it. It was John Keel and even Jacques Vallée. The UFO is it's a masquerade. That was Carla Turner, called it a masquerade. And Keel said it's another name for demonology. So it's the same things that they do, and then they just change their appearance. And that was one of the things in the UFO field too. On different continents, the alien looks different.
Yeah.
Now, why would that be? You have, the grays are in the United States. You don't get grays in Japan and South Korea. In India, the alien is red-skinned, like Shiva. They got the red, like the cross behind me. It's a red-skinned type alien. So they just changed their appearance for the culture. And I think they've been planning.
So you think they actually do that? They change their appearance for the culture?
Because they want you to accept it. So in India, where their gods are have a red pigment to them. So now the alien is red. I don't know why in America it's a bulbous head, gray, but it is. And then in England, they have their versions. It's different than what we got here. So, but that's what they did hundreds of years ago with fairies and elves and gnomes and all of that stuff, right? So it just, depending on where you are, they change the appearance that you'll accept it, your culture will accept it, but they do the same thing. They abduct.
I never thought of that before.
I never did either, really. But the more time you look at this, you can get a PhD in these fields. There's so much information. But that's what I see as the common denominator: is no matter where it is and what it looks like and what time period, they do the same thing. They kidnap women. They impregnate them somehow, pregnate them, take the fetus or some genetic material to keep their species going. And that is the one thing, and that makes me highly suspicious that they're from space, because the only way genetics works on Earth is you got to be human-like. We can't mate with apes. So there's no way we can mate with aliens. The DNA, they could, we have 46 chromosomes. They might have 110. I don't know.
Kurt says he believes in it, and he thinks there's another civilization there. Maybe not at all ET, but advanced humans as well. And he also says that he believes that Carl, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Unger's letter is real, and the U-boat 209 made it to Argotha, I think it's called.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, what that is, and this is in my UFO books, at the end of World War II, when the Nazis were losing, a bunch of U-boats were escaping. And where were they heading? They were heading down to Antarctica and Chile, because Juan Perón had signed an agreement with Hitler. And we intercepted 3 U-boats, which are submarines, and they were carrying red mercury. Why are you carrying red mercury? Think about that. That always struck me as odd, because I know the Vedic legends, of the Vimana and all of that, and it's powered by red mercury. It says it in the Mahabharata. You compress and spin rapidly red mercury, and it defies gravity. And that's what Hitler was working on, with the Hannibal series of the flying saucers. So we intercept 3 subs, and they're carrying red mercury, and we saw them actually throwing barrels over. Some of them we just got the sub and we got the red mercury. You would think if you're heading to another continent, you would be taking all of the gold and silver and things you can barter. They were taking the gold fillings out of the Jews after they cremated them, gassed them, right? So you would think they would take, well, I guess they pulled the teeth out first to get to the silver. You think you would be doing that. So, so there's something to that, and this whole thing, you mentioned did you say Atlantis?
Yes.
Well, there's two theories here. One in the Pacific is the Lemurians, from Lemuria. That was an older civilization than Atlantis. But when I researched that, where did they end up? From the Pacific, they ended up in Mount Shasta. And, Mount Shasta is well known for UFO sightings, but the word is that they went and settled under the earth under Mount Shasta in those caverns. And when people see them, and they have seen them, they're this 7-8 foot tall, kind of silvery, but they glow. These creatures, they're human-like, but they actually are kind of, backlit. They glow. Their body glows.
That's crazy.
And Bigfoot has been seen there too, as far as protecting the entrances and that type of thing. And 11 people since 1986 have disappeared at Mount Shasta. So there's something there. But
there's something there.
The Atlantean side of it is a little bit different. The thing is that, and I researched this when I gave that presentation 3 years ago on Hitler, on the Aryan race, right? So Atlantis, when you research it, and you really get the information from Tibet, the adepts in Tibet are the people with the knowledge of this now, as far as Atlanta and Atlantis. But Atlantis had 7 races. And, and it was like us, all different colors, black, Hispanic, that type of thing, colored, yellow skin, white skin, that type of thing. So they had 7 different races, but their beliefs and their system was that the white race, the Aryan race, was the most superior. So now when Atlantis sunk, I believe some of them got away, because you have pyramids in Egypt and pyramids in Central America. They actually have more pyramids in Central America than you do in Egypt, but most people don't know that. They both civilizations used hieroglyphics. They have a Book of the Dead. They did mummifications. So how does that happen in both locations when neither continent, had people going back and forth? So I think Atlantis, the ones that survived, went there. But there's also another theory that a lot of them, they went north and they settled up in Greenland and Iceland, and and the planet was different. You're going back 5,000 years, so that those areas maybe had very large areas that were livable, with green and it's okay to live there. But so the Greeks, it's an interesting history on this. The Greeks believed that Apollo lived all the way north, like north of Greenland or up in Greenland, and that they called the area Hyperborea. And they said that that's where Apollo lived, and people there would live to 1,000 years. It was Eden-like. It was a utopia. And again, they said that's where the Aryan race originated, after Atlantis. So the Atlanteans went there in the north. I believe they also went to Egypt and Central America, but the bulk of their civilization and beliefs and culture went to the north, and that's what the Greeks believed. So now the Romans, they called the area with the same beliefs. How Romans and Greeks have the same gods but different names. So they called it Thule. So and they say that's the original of the Aryan race, white people and Europeans. So now from that, and then what happened after that, after they survived the flood and the ice age, is they migrated over the years. They somehow ended up in Tibet, of all places, and they went underground. And they formed the civilization underground of Agartha. And Agartha is the repository of all of the knowledge and history of the human race. Going back to probably Lemuria and Atlantis, but they were the record keepers of everything. Kind of like the Library of Alexandria, but the Romans burned it down. But so under Tibet and Agartha is this record keeping. And the Atlanteans are there. They're more powerful than humans. They have crystal technology. There's different theories. Some people think that there's a kind of a sun that's suspended in the hollow earth that gives them light and warmth and radiant type technology. But the other thing that happens, and this is in the records, let's say from Tibet and from the Hopi Indians, is that during times of cataclysm, an apocalypse type thing, an asteroid strike, whatever it might be, certain humans are gathered up and taken down below so that the species survives. The Tibetans say that with Agartha, and then the Native Americans with the Hopi Indians say the same thing. And the Hopis, they came from the Anasazi. And the Anasazi were the ones who believed in the Great Flood, and they were high up in the mountains in caves because they didn't know if there'd be another flood, right? So, but the thing is with the Hopi is they talk about the ant people. And the ant people would, again, they were there to help humans and they would save us from cataclysms. But the description of the ant people is a tall gray, like the gray alien. It is the tall gray. That is there. So, again, you got to question this UFO narrative that we've been told forever. It's not true.
Yeah, it's not true.
It's not from space. Maybe at one time they came here from space. I don't know. Or it evolved from the earliest humans, just like you go through, Genesis and all of that, there were giants on the earth. Well, that's another thing. You look at Genesis and Genesis talking about, I think when David slew Goliath, they said there were giants on and in the earth at the time. And then
I still think there are giants. There's a lot of people that see that huge doorway in Utah and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
And then in Revelation, if you quote the Bible, it says no one could open the book, whatever they were talking about, the book of life. I don't know. And they said on earth and under earth. So twice in the Bible, they say, under the earth. So, again, if you believe.
So there's something. I have a couple different videos and different viewpoints. So we're going to go ahead and play. I think there's like 3 or 4, but I'm not sure which one starts. We're going to try. It might be out of order, so bear with me.
And he died. His son got it. And then when his son was trying to publish the stuff in it, he died.
Wait a minute, I have to, this one comes first. Wait a minute, where is he? He's the first one. There's 1, 2. Maybe there is a note. Okay, this is.
That only he had, and then when he died, his son got it. And then when his son was trying to publish the stuff in it, he died. Like under very mysterious circumstances.
Admiral.
But Admiral Byrd talks about in this secret diary, allegedly that he wrote, people think that it's fake, that when he went to explore the North Pole, there was an entry to inner Earth, like hollow Earth.
And that would make sense with this big old hole.
It would. And he describes it as being in the Earth, lush green land beyond the ice, mammoth-like creatures, a technology-advanced civilization, and meeting with a being called the Master, who warns humanity about nuclear weapons.
Wow.
So this is where it gets a little like, I don't know about that.
But it sounds like the little green children.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought about, the green kids.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That literally backs up that story. That's so fun to think about. A giant hole that has a whole different world. I mean, yeah, dude.
It's all
I'm just thinking like sci-fi. So the possibility of sci-fi movies right now are just endless.
Gosh.
There's this one. This is another one.
Yeah, that was 1926 that he flew over the North Pole, 1929 over the South Pole. And, and he said that, he saw an opening, a hole at the pole, both poles.
And here's this.
Scientists and scholars.
This gives a more definite this was on Ancient Aliens. No, this was on History Channel.
Surface of the Earth. We drilled down like 8 miles and we had to stop because it got too hot. Out of 4,000 miles, basically to the core of the Earth, we went down 8. That's nothing.
We have more than 70 active space programs right now. We can tell you more about the surface of the moon than we can the surface underneath our own oceans.
Since we have not actually drilled down far enough to confirm these findings, could it be that we may be wrong about the composition of our own Earth?
Some ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that according to our earliest mythologies, an other Earth might not be found in the heavens, but deep within our own planet.
One of the most consistent themes that we find in ancient cultures when we travel around the world is the idea that there is another world, another Earth inside of the planet.
Within Buddhism, there's stories of.
Could you imagine if there was like a whole city underground?
Inner world.
Yeah, I'll comment on that when this is over.
By people, and that they are an advanced race, and even that they have trains and vehicles that are moving through this inner Earth.
Is it possible that an other Earth can be located within the confines of our own planet? Historically, underground realms were not relegated to mere mythology. Well-respected scientists and mathematicians have long speculated about a theory that became known as Hollow Earth.
The scientist Edmund Halley is most famous for Halley's Comet. He was also very interested in the Earth, and one of the challenges was trying to figure out what was the real structure of the inside of the Earth. He had a fascinating theory of not just a hollow Earth, but an Earth with multiple layers.
75 years later, 18th century mathematician Leonhard Euler put forth his own hollow Earth theory with no concentric shells and a sun at the center spanning 600 miles.
Euler was a gifted mathematician. He developed this idea that the planet Earth is not only hollow, but the poles are actually thinned. And there are actually entrances into the inner core at the north and south poles of the Earth. He imagined that there were advanced civilizations living inside the planet.
Ideas of an occupied hollow Earth would be revisited nearly 2 centuries later in 1947, when famous polar explorer Admiral Richard Byrd flew reconnaissance missions over the North Pole. Byrd allegedly reported in his private journal about a mysterious land beyond the North Pole, which he called the center of the great unknown.
Admiral Richard Byrd was able to fly to the North Pole and back and recorded flying over lush green areas where none should have been. And then 3 years later, he flew over the South Pole.
It's rumored that when Admiral Byrd's task force actually got to Antarctica,
there's Mike.
One of the first things they discovered was an entrance into a hollow Earth civilization that was populated by very, very advanced beings.
Admiral Byrd made a lot of unusual statements, including talking about what he called a new kind of craft that could fly from pole to pole. And when Byrd got back to the United States, he was brought back to Washington, where he was questioned very heavily about his statements. And allegedly he was told to stop talking about this.
Is it possible that entrances to another world can be found at the Earth's poles? And if so, did Admiral Byrd actually pass through one of them? According
Didn't
to
he
some
disappear?
ancient astronaut theorists,
No,
such
I don't think
gateways
so.
do exist.
If we were to discover the other Earth, the place we have sought, the missing world, it would be profoundly humbling. So this would be quite a paradigm shift. History would change in a very major way.
Wow.
Well, here's the thing. You know, these guys, they came out with these theories. You're going back to 1692 with Edmund Halley and 1767 with Leonhard Euler. So, you know, what did they really know? But their theories, Halley said there were 3 concentric circles under the Earth with 3 layers of civilizations. Euler said that there was one with a suspended sun and they had a civilization. But it's not at the core of the Earth because it's too hot. You know, if you just look at Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, right? It's 426 miles long. 400, you could have a whole country in that. It's 426 miles. So, you know, wherever this is, and they say it's under Tibet, that's where the Agarthans, the Atlanteans ended up settling. You don't need that big an area. I mean, something that's 50 miles, you could have quite a lot of people living under there.
I have Dolores Cannon too, and here, get her view on this. Let me I have to rewind that one. Okay.
Whole city, it's Atlantis. There's a whole city. It's got a sun, it's got water, it's got lakes, it's got animals. It's beautiful, and they're more highly advanced than we are. But that is inside of the earth.
Be thousands of years old, I understand.
Oh, it's been down there. It's since Atlantis. The survivors of Atlantis, some of them went into the hollow earth. The entrances are found underneath the pyramids of the world. They had the entrances to the hollow earth, and the pyramids were built on top of the entrances. This means the one in Egypt, the one in South America, all of the anywhere there's a pyramid, there will be an entrance going down into the hollow earth. There's a whole city.
That goes back to
water, it's got lakes.
What was that? Let me get this off of here.
In March, under the pyramids, two miles below the pyramids, they found the tunnel system.
Yeah, and they had all those technical, what were they? Canister? I don't know what they were. What did they find under there? The pyramid? What were they?
I don't know. They showed these. I don't know. What the
hell were they?
It kind of looked like shock absorbers or something.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was a tunnel system, is what it was.
So what she's saying is different with the other people. Like they're saying there's a civilization. She's saying it's like Earth. It's beautiful. Is that like I don't know if I
Well, that's what the ones like the Hyperborea that was supposed to be actually above ground, or maybe it was actually even under Greenland up there. But they all describe it as green and lush.
Yeah,
and
how can that be though?
Utopia, I don't know. But see, here's the thing. I think that when you're talking about the hollow Earth, it's physical and it's interdimensional, because when you really dig into it, like I have, they got all kinds of cryptid creatures that are involved, coming in and out of there, and then they disappear on you, just like Bigfoot sometimes disappears. So I think, and then, you got that other place, Shambhala, right?
Shambhala.
So, and that's a sister civilization of, which is supposed to be actually, Shambhala was the Lemurians, right? And Atlantis was Agartha, but it's a sister culture. But the thing with Shambhala is they are much purer. In order to enter, you have to be of pure heart, mind, and soul. It's your whole, and you're not allowed to enter. It's like trying to enter heaven, let's say. This kid who shot Charlie Kirk, he ain't never entering heaven, and he ain't entering Shambhala because he's dirty now, big time. So he ain't never going to enter those places. But the thing with Shambhala is it's above surface. And this is the Buddhists and the Hindus all believe Shambhala is in China in a valley covered by a thick fog like Skull Island. So you can't find it, But they are much more highly advanced and spiritual, where the Agarthans are more like us, and but they have technology. They are very powerful, but they don't attack. They don't cause wars. But there is a theory that when you look at Hitler sent his SS to Tibet from 1926 to 1942. And they came to an agreement. They met with the adepts of Shambhala, and they said no. They met with the adepts of Agartha, and they said, yes, we'll help Hitler and the Nazis, right? So what happens? Himmler then opens up the Occult Bureau. It's a real thing. The Occult Bureau, every SS officer had to go through occult training in Agarthan occult. And people say, in Agartha, there's the king of the world. That's what they call their ruler. They say that he was using Hitler as a pawn. The Nazis were really doing the work of the king of the world. He was behind all of that. So that would make Agartha a very malevolent place, and again, you got these abductions, you got the genetic material. It's a lot of strange theories with this, more than I ever imagined. And I just got into this for the last couple of months, and I'm going to be really looking into this.
So if you're just joining us today, we're talking about the hollow earth theory, that there's a civilization in the center of the earth. So that's what we're talking about today. It's kind of crazy. There's so many, like you said, there's many ancient cultures from Tibet to Native Americans that have stories of these underground.
They all do. It's funny. I remember reading this years ago, and I put it in like one of my first book. 130 different cultures have a great flood story. Every culture has a creation story. Every culture has a fall, the fallen angels, the fall of evil, a Satan-type creature, and they all have these hollow earth stories. So either they met each other, which they said there was no contact between continents, or the Lemurians and the Atlanteans, they brought this knowledge to different areas of the planet, and that became the long-standing beliefs and legends.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so they're saying that there's an entrance. Could be at the North Pole and the South Pole.
Well, all the sacred sites have an entrance. There are entrances. In India, they have the Nagas, which are serpent creatures that have entrances at the bottom of lakes. It's every culture has their own beliefs in this.
But John, how does that compare? How does that align with the scientific standpoint? How does the hollow earth fit or not fit? And what do you know about the geology of the Earth's core? Because we heard that the Earth core, isn't it supposed to be really hot?
Yeah, but it's not that far down. It's like if you believe that there are deep underground military bases in the United States, and a lot of people believe it, and they say there's a maglev train that goes 200 miles an hour and connects them all. How far under the ground are they? They're probably half a mile.
Okay, but what is the theory? Say something really juvenile. Okay, when you were a kid and they said if you dig far enough, you're going to get to China.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to that,
Well, that might have been started from the hollow earth beliefs,
But then what does it go back? Hi, Joe. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. And what does he said? He's okay. I thought it was oh yeah. Okay, so Kurt said that exactly. There's a similar story across the whole land, so everyone can't be wrong. Yeah, there is similar stories, but I'm still having a hard. But we were taught in school.
Well, the geologists and archaeologists say there's no such thing, but like I said, Mammoth Cave is 426 miles. It's, I don't know what is this, 400 feet below the ground. It's 426 miles long. The government has these underground tunnels and bases. Maybe they're working with them, like Dulce, right?
Yeah,
these
that's true.
Reptilians, they say under Dulce, we're working with them. Phil Schneider said that too. These are these reptilians. And again, what do a lot of these cultures say? They have a serpent-like reptilian creature that's in the hollow earth that they work with. So, it's there, but it's been called other things. And it's deliberately been called aliens, and they're not. It's not aliens.
Okay. So we have the UFO. There could be UFOs and advanced civilizations living in the center of the earth. So are they
in mountains? They're not in the center of the earth. They're in mountains, and they're in caverns. Mountains and caverns. They're only 400 feet.
So they're not. So the UFOs and the advanced civilizations aren't actually inside the earth then?
Well, they are. But not in the center of the earth. They're in.
Okay. So it doesn't. Okay. So when they're saying the hollow earth, that's what I'm confused about. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not the hollow in the center. It's a name that's not really, but because back then, 400 years ago, they thought that if you went in the North Pole, you could fly straight through and come out the South Pole. And there was a theory called donut Earth, believe it or not. Do you ever you have a donut with the circle? They thought that entire center of the Earth was open, and the oceans actually flowed around the donut and come out the other side. But they didn't understand science too much 400 years
ago. So why do you think mainstream media in science dismisses the hollow Earth?
Because
as a possible.
In my opinion, there's an interdimensional aspect to it, just like there is with UFOs, and I don't think that you just walk into the middle of the desert and somewhere around Scottsdale, you're going to find a doorway and you're going to walk down there and get in. From what I've researched, people who are allowed in are selected, and otherwise you won't even know the doorway's there. You can't see it. It's like a different frequency or something, and you're not in tune with that. And so it's interdimensional and it's physical. And when you go in, you may be in a different dimension. Where was think about heaven and hell, right? When Enoch was taken to the kingdom, he was then, that's a different dimension, right? He was then taken down below the earth to Sheol. And in Sheol, you had hell, which was all the bad people, a big canyon, and then paradise for the good people.
Okay.
That was all under earth.
So what does this say about hell then? If there's another civilization, is that civilization hell, or is it something else?
You see, here's the thing. Every culture has their beliefs that are similar, but they also have a lot of opposing beliefs, and they have their own beliefs. See, for me, for a lot of people, when you look at this, and it's almost like the UFO in California at the Big Rock, and everybody's dancing "We Are the World," and they're here to help us, right? So you have your New Age Gaia, Mother Earth beliefs that underneath in these locations are a pure area that's untouched. Okay. And with knowledge, but then there's an opposing view. And that opposing view, which is the one I agree with, is a much darker view of the hollow earth. To me, the hollow earth is where demons come from, where gray aliens come from, where cryptids come from, where Bigfoot and all these other
Well, that makes sense, because if you go back to hell, then it might be, that's where hell is.
Under earth, so that's where it is.
Is there any, and the research have you done, is there any evidence or anything that would convince you that there might be some truth to this a little bit? Like, do you have any evidence that could support that?
Well, it's like the UFO field. All you have is stories. You have, and then people with photographs and videos of creatures. You got your whole Mount Shasta story of Bigfoot and those glowing Lemurian 7-foot people. Again, it's just like the UFO field, where you don't have hard evidence for it. You don't.
Do you think the governments are hiding knowledge of the hollow earth from the public?
I think if you believe in the deep underground military bases that they all can connect, they're connecting through the same tunnel system as the hollow earth, and we would be working with them just like the Dulce reptilians.
Why would they cover it up though? Like, what's the
the biggest thing with all of this, and I concluded 15 years ago looking at UFOs, is it's all about the technology and not allowing Russia or China or whatever country to get that technology. So we would make any agreement with them we had to make, and including allowing them to take a certain number of people for abductions and genetic material to keep their race going. But they have to be human-like to be able to use that material. That's a fact, which is why I believe they're from Earth and not from some other place. But the government will do whatever it has to do to get access to advanced technology. And that's exactly what Hitler wanted. Hitler was absolutely convinced that the hollow earth was real. He thought Maria Orsic was a Vril member. She convinced him that book, Vril, The Coming Race, under Antarctica, was real. He believed it so much that in 1942, he sent his SS to Tibet from 1926 to 42. But in 1942, he sent a scientific team into the Baltic to shine an infrared, beam light at a 45-degree angle. He was convinced we were in one of the concentric circles, that the light would hit the sky and bounce off, because he thought we were in one of those 3, 4, 5 concentric circles. And when it didn't bounce off, he imprisoned those scientists that said it would.
Jeez, I wouldn't mess around with him.
But that's what he believed. Under Antarctica, and we're in one, and then above that there'd be something else.
So the claims about Admiral Berg's expeditions, the secret encounters at the poles, what do you think? Do they think those stories are true? That there's these
here's the thing. That comes from a diary that was found of Admiral Byrd, but it's never really been validated. Admiral Byrd never actually, I don't believe he's actually said those things publicly.
Okay, that was in his diary.
But it's in his diary because the government told him to stop talking about it. Maybe he was talking about it, so he put it in his diary. But so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
so you're saying that hollow Earth can explain some of the phenomenon, like the Bigfoot and the
I think it explains all of it.
Disappearances of people and UFO sightings.
Well, get this. I wrote a chapter on it, and it's in my new book, the one that has Templars versus Indians. I then have a chapter about Lilith, which is hollow Earth, right? Because she went in the cave and mated with demons. And then I have another chapter called The Hollow Earth, where all this information is in there.
Okay, let me ask you something. Where are you finding your research that Lilith was making? She was doing weird stuff. Where do you find that? If somebody wants to read that, is that in you did your research? Is it?
It's hard to find.
It's not in the Bible. Where would you, in the Book of Enoch? Where would you find something like?
Lilith is mentioned once in the Old Testament. Her name is mentioned. And maybe it was in Enoch. I'm not 100% sure. But the stories of Lilith come from ancient Hebrew and Sumerian documents.
Okay.
Just like a lot of other things are found in them, like Sitchin says he found all that stuff in those cuneiform.
No, Lilith is not Eve.
No.
Right.
Well, this is the storyline real quick with Lilith. Lilith was like a proto-human. She was the first wife of Adam. They had a child and she ate it. And he got rid of her. Well, she got rid of her. He got rid of her. He got rid of her. But then when she left Eden, the devil was there waiting. And she says he was very handsome. He was tall, like 7 feet tall, very handsome. Took her to this cave, and they went in, and all of the other demons were there. So she ran away. She was afraid. She ran away. But by the time she got back to Eden after a few days or whatever, Adam already had Eve. And then she got furious. She got furious that and the angel with the flaming sword was standing there and told her, leave. You're not allowed to return. Leave or I'll slay you with the sword, right? So she has no choice now. She goes back to the demons, and then she mates with them. And she is the mother of vampires, of cryptids. They all came from Lilith. And she made a promise that she would kill the children of Adam and Eve, and she would kill children. So kids that die in their cribs, she's got a reputation of sucking their breath.
That's terrible.
And killing these children. And she was behind the killing of Cain, killing Abel. That was one of the things the devil said to her is, she said to the devil, I want to kill the children of Adam and Eve. And then he helped her or whatever, where she spurred Cain on to kill Abel. But she is as evil as can be, and the mother of all these cryptids that you think of, vampires, werewolves, Bigfoot, Dogman, all came from her. She's the mother of evil and all of that. And then you got Hecate also, who lives underground again in caves and is the mother of vampires. Her 3 vampire daughters, this is much later than Lilith, they're shape-shifting girls and vampires. If you remember that movie that was out, where the three Hecate and the three daughters were there, they turn into whatever they want to turn into. They're shapeshifters.
That is so. I'm not gonna debunk anything, but so do you truly believe that there are vampires and that kind of stuff?
Not really, but I mean, there are humans from those stories that do drink blood. Actually, I looked that up once. There's a lot of them. There are a lot of people who actually drink blood. But get this too. It is strictly forbidden in the Bible to consume blood. So why? Life.
Wait a minute.
Blood, and that's what.
I thought that. Okay, but we're getting back to some crazy topics like Jesus. He wanted you to drink his blood, though. So
not literally. That was a parable. The drink of my blood and eat of my body. He wasn't talking about being a cannibal and actually doing that. He was talking about the blood being the life and his body being the church and all of that. He spoke in riddles.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he did speak in riddles. You're right. I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, so
but at the time the apostle said, "What?" They looked at him. Did he just say, "Drink my blood"? What are you talking about? Because if you go back to Noah, when they got off the ark, God said to them, that's where he allowed them to eat meat, because they were never allowed to eat meat. They were vegetarians up until that point. That's when he allowed them to eat meat, but he specifically forbade people to drink blood, animal or human blood. So there could be something there with vampires, But in my opinion, all this stuff is interdimensional. People who encounter an incubus or a succubus, I mean, this is all, the old hag, that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's all interdimensional stuff. And I believe those entities, they're skinwalkers, they're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
They can become anything. They could be the Bigfoot you see. They could be a werewolf. They could be a vampire.
They can just do it when they feel like it. So if Hollow Earth exists, and what we think it probably does, and what do you think life would be like inside? Do you believe what Dorian Cannon says, or do you believe what the scientists like on the History Channel? What kind of civilization or landscape was it? Be just technology stuff, like really crazy? I don't even something like Elon Musk would make. What do you think?
Well, I think there's two versions, and I think that there's one version of the actual people that escaped Atlantis, made their way over through the Greenland and then made their way to Tibet, and now they're in the Hollow Earth, and they're a physical group of people that have abilities. They may be, they say that they have telepathy. That's one thing too with this, is that they say they influence a lot of things in above surface. And, and it's almost like those Star Trek episodes where remember the guys with the big heads and they were putting thoughts in Kirk in their heads until they realized none of what they were seeing was real. They weren't behind bars. There wasn't a wall of fire. They were just putting that. So they can do that. You might stumble into their entrance and then you see a gigantic rattlesnake coming at so you run, you're going to run, so who knows? But I always believe in the interdimensional explanation also. And to me, when you talk interdimensional, you're talking about heaven and hell, and the devil is extremely powerful. And he does a lot of these things. And you see the light just lit up, as I said, the devil.
Yeah. So, but if what would be proving Hollow Earth it's true? What do you think that it would do for humanity right now? Do you think it'd be a good thing or a bad thing?
I get this. And here's something that kind of got me upset 2 years ago. Lou Elizondo made a statement to the New York Times, September of 2023. He said, people think that UFOs and aliens are monsters from space, but in reality, they're just our neighbors. And he left it at that, and he didn't explain what he meant. So What if he's talking about, even the Tic Tac video, all of that comes from them. 40% of all sightings are in large bodies of water, probably 20% more from mountains and caves like Mount Shasta, right? So what if what Lou Elizondo meant, he was actually saying there are neighbors under the ground. There's another civilization, and they have this technology. I think that's exactly what it means. So when they do this disclosure,
I was going to say that. Yeah.
It's not gonna come from the White House lawn. It's going to come from Alabama. You're going to say, why Alabama? Because they have the Marshall Space Center there underground. One of the largest underground military facilities. And what is that the home of? The Space Force. Trump just said he's moving 30,000 jobs there, the home of the Space Force. It's underground, the Marshall Space Center, and they're probably already in contact. And I think when they do give this disclosure, it's going to be, we're not alone on this planet.
We're not
alone.
We've never been.
And here they are.
Yeah. And Cindy said there must be a balance of light and dark. Yeah. So while we're on this, we're coming to the end of the show, but we're talking about disclosure. What do you think about that was it a comet atlas that they're calling that they think it's not really it's a mothership? What do you think about that?
It's like a Muamua. Again, see, the government knows the truth, right? And they know, let's say they know the hollow earth's the truth. So what have they been doing since 2017? Funding UFO research, telling you it's real. Oumuamua was a craft. This thing is a craft. And what do they got you doing? They got you looking up, like the thing from outer space. Watch the skies. Watch the skies. So if the government's telling you to look up because UFOs and aliens are real, then the real truth is look down, because that's where they're really from. They're not from space.
They're not from space. No, definitely. I wanted to, before we close tonight, there's I wanted to share something that was sent to me a little while ago. Apparently, I don't know if you guys have heard this. I want to pull it up on TikTok so you can see it. But where is TikTok?
I got to put a presentation together on Hollow Earth, because what we just discussed, this got to be one of my presentations. And
well, yeah, seriously, yeah, you're gonna have to. But before we go, moving on to a different real quick topic before we leave, because I'm out of here at 9. But I don't know if you heard about this, but I want to try to pull it up. In 1998. It was called a movie called, what's it called? Here, let me just see if you can hear this. I'm going to play it. Let me see. Oh, they ain't going to be able to talk. Never mind. It's just the music part. Okay, well, I'll read it to you. Oh, my God. I was going to try to pull it up for you to see if you could see the video. But 1998, Nicolas Cage starred in a movie called Snake Eyes. And in that movie, a politician by the name of Charles Kirkland was shot in the neck and assassinated at a boxing match that took place on September 10th in the movie's timeline. Is that weird or what?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff that you see in movies actually does happen. And, and sometimes people say, that was a foreshadowing.
Yeah,
because everything is a government plot. I don't know.
That's what I don't know. It's when he sent this to me, he told me to go do some research on it, and I
see though. I see the bullet that grazed Trump, the hand of God, because we needed him to straighten this country out and straighten the world out, and I see the bullet that hit Charlie Kirk, unfortunately killed him, but made him a martyr. And, that kid nobody will remember his name who shot him, once he's convicted and put to death. But this Charlie Kirk thing now has created a Christian
revival.
Yeah. This is like back in the 90s when they started the Christian revival out in California, of all places. This is around the world. 1 million people in London marched last weekend for freedom, and a lot of them chanted, "We are Charlie Kirk." So this is huge. What happened, and it has a purpose. Unfortunately, he had to die, but God's hand is on both of this. He allowed this country to be created based on the 10 Commandments and had his hand on this country. And what has happened the past few years under Biden and Obama and even longer with the progressive movement is the work of the devil. Everything about progressivism comes from Marxism, but goes further back to pagan beliefs. And the pagan beliefs were the worship of the fallen angels. That's what it was. Paganism is the worship of fallen angels because they were allowed to do what they wanted to do way back then, 6,000 years, 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, but just keep your eyes on this things what's going on, because there's a lot of things with that assassination that does not line up. It's just too strange, and I believe there's somebody else out there that actually did that.
Well,
I think he was a fall guy. He was a fall guy.
That old guy who said he was the shooter, he was in on it. And
but you know what? He was at, not only was he there, he was at they said he was at 9/11. He was at the Boston shooting.
The bomb.
He was like all these, where these crazy things happen. So
when they arrested him and I saw the video, I thought he was the Minnesota governor, Tim Walz, who ran for vice president with Kamala. I thought that was him. He looked just like him.
Well, I have a question. Why did his pants fall down?
The old guy?
Did you see the video? His pants fell down.
I didn't see that.
You have to go look. I was watching. There's a couple different shows, but
it's another diversion. The guy unhooked his pants.
I know it is. It's really crazy. But I've fallen into that rabbit hole with Candace Owens.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different. I think Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Alex Jones are all in this rabbit hole.
Well, the next thing they're going to say is that video of him getting shot in the left side of his neck was all CGI. He's not really dead. He's still alive.
Yeah, I know, but I saw a video. This one YouTuber, he said the bullet came from behind, and that was an exit wound. So you have to go search that on YouTube and TikTok.
But how could it come from behind? There was a wall behind.
If I give you, I'm going to find the video and I'm going to send it to you in a messenger, because I was like, you could see the blood splatter from behind, and they took down those cameras. They took the cameras down right after this happened. And that's another thing. Why did they take all this stuff down? Why wasn't the crime scene tape left up? Why didn't they do an autopsy? There's so many weird stuff about this. And if you fall into these crime things, the crime stories, like I've been falling into that rabbit hole, that I don't know, guys.
It's almost like September 11th. They say Bush was in on it because he needed something like that to go after the Middle East. So what did America need? They needed a martyr,
Yeah.
But I don't believe Trump and them did this to Charlie Kirk.
Oh, no, I don't think, no. But, Candace Owens thinks that there was a falling out between Charlie and Bibi. Whatever his last name is. You know what I'm talking about? The Israel. That they fell out. And he was so upset about it. And there's something else going on. And she thinks it was, I am not going to say it, but she thinks it was.
There is something going on with this anti-Israel. Somebody's putting this type of stuff out like that, with so much of it, stirring up the college kids against Jews and against Israel. I see it from friends of mine. I see it from the Templars, the group I belong to over here. They're talking the same lingo, and these are people in Europe. So somebody's behind this disinformation that's anti.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and you know what else I have a hard time with? When you see things on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, you don't know if it's real.
I know.
Because they're using that AI that's actually putting words into the face. Everything looks the same, and you can't tell. And that is such a bad thing because you don't know what's real and what's not anymore.
Yeah, in 5 years, you're not going to know anything that's real. You're not going
to.
And
well, we played this game. I want you to do it. I think they probably already changed it, but we were there was a couple YouTubers and TikTokers who would ask ChatGPT, like, play this game with me. You know, it was like, oh shit, I have it on here.
I think I saw that video with that.
Did you see it?
And he basically said that it was doing the work of the devil.
Yeah. You would ask it, where are you from? Spirits. Where are these spirits? So
yeah, I saw that one.
Yes, it's scary. But then I went back and tried it. No, I don't trust it either. I think it is some kind of.
I don't trust Alexa. Alexa's in your house to gather information on you. And you think these things are turned off? They're not turned off.
No, I know. What do you ever have you'll be sitting there and all of a sudden Alexa comes on and says, well, I didn't, she'll say, oh, I'm not sure about that. Like,
yeah. Well, there's been things where it's made comments that were very morbid. Like it said something that I don't have those devices. I'll never have that stuff.
Oh, I have them all through the house. And it's kind of crazy.
I don't need Alexa to turn my lights off. I can get up and do
it.
Exercise.
I'm lazy. My son fixed my light for me. My one light when I go to bed. I go, Alexa,
my daughter has that all. Alexa, turn off the lights. Alexa, turn on the TV.
Because
I can get up and do it.
My bedroom light goes, Alexa, I have to go, Alexa, turn off mom's light, number 2. And then it'll go, I don't know how to turn off Bob. Like, who the hell? I didn't say that. Why are you saying Bob? Light. It's just weird anyways. But I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and participating in the chat. It's you guys is what make us what we are. And I'm so glad you're in the comments. It really makes me feel good that you're there. And thank you all for joining us tonight on Chasing Prophecy. And if you enjoyed tonight's journey into the hollow earth, don't keep it a secret, okay? Hit the subscribe button on YouTube or follow on whichever one we have. And please tell your friends about it and share it. And we really, really appreciate your support. So don't be a stranger next week. I do believe I have a guest. I can't remember, but I have to go look in my calendar. So
send me a link to this one. This was pretty good. Send me a link.
Yeah, I will. And drop your thoughts in theories in the comments because we want to hear what you have to say about it. So until next time, keep chasing the prophecy.
Thanks for tuning in to Chasing Prophecy Radio, where nothing is beyond the scope of normal. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube for past episodes, live streams, and more. And if you'd like to be a guest or reach out, email us at chasingprophecyradio@gmail.com. Until next time, keep looking beyond the shadows.
John, don't